Hi guys, and welcome back to another lesson in algebra. Today's lesson is Unit 4, Lesson 2, and we are going to be finding slope again. This is day 2 of it. This is where it gets a little bit more complicated, and so what's going on here is, these two things. I can identify what part I'm missing when I'm giving 2 points and a slope, and then you can set up an equation, cross multiply, to find the missing part. Okay, so what do I mean by all of this? Well, let's start writing some stuff down and see, if we can start to make sense of all this. So remember, slope is simply a ratio of rise over run. And it's also abbreviated M. So we need to remember, you'll see M, and so that's what you see here on this formula is we see M. Okay, so my steps to solve is first we're going to need to label all our parts. And so our parts are going to be like the parts of the point. So we got x1, y1, x2, y2, and then we're also going to have slope. So we've got M. Okay, so there are 5 parts. This one, this one, this one, this one, and this one. Alrighty, and so then step 2 is we are going to substitute what you are given into the slope formula, and then we can solve using cross multiplication. Okay, so over and over again, we are going to be using this equation here. Okay, and so you can see that we have, 5 components. We have M, Y2, Y1, X2, and X1. We will have one missing part, and then we have to figure out what that is and solve to find it out of those 5 parts. Okay, what does that look like? So we got 2 points here. I want to just color code this, the missing part that we have. So this right here is my missing part. It's labeled X, okay? Let's go through it and label everything else, because that was our first step, is they said, label everything. So we're going to label all 5 of these components. So let's do it. This is my X1. This is my Y1. This is my X2. This is my Y2. Why did I label them 1 and 2? Honestly, because the 1 was the first point that I came to, and the 2 was the second point I came to. That's it. And then M is going to be my slope, and that's already labeled for us. Okay. So my equation is this fella. We're going to write that down. So we get, let me go ahead and change colors. We're going to change to blue. Okay, so we're going to write this down. M equals y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. Alrighty, my M is this fella, okay? It's right here. Well, we have it. It's 3 halves, right? We can go just plop that 3 halves in there. Okay, so I'm going to write 3 halves. And then I have this one. We got y2. I'm just going to go grab that y2. That's 5. Minus my y1. My y1 is this negative 1. Okay, so we're subtracting that out. And then we can do this next one. We've got x2. So my x2 is x here. So that's a little confusing, but all we're going to do is we're just going to write that x over down here. That's the thing that we don't know what it is. So it's just going to stay x. And then let's see. We are going to subtract x1, which is 2. Alrighty, so let's go through this and let's simplify some things. I'm going to have to leave this 3 halves here because I can't simplify that yet. I am going to simplify the numerator. The 5 minus a negative 1 is the same thing as 6, right? 5 minus a negative 1 is 5 plus 1. And then x minus 2. Okay, so we have done these steps so far. We have labeled everything and we've substituted in. The last thing we got to do is we got to do the cross multiplication and solve. So remember, cross multiplication, we can make our little butterfly here. We're going to do like this and we'll do like this. Okay, so we end up with 3 times x minus 2 equals 2 times 6. Okay, if I go through and simplify that, I'm going to distribute my stuff. I got 3x minus 6 equals 12. And now, pretty easy to solve. You know, we've gotten down to this part. You know, we're just gonna isolate the x. So we're gonna move this 6 over to the other side. This cancels. Let me just carry my work on up here. So I get 3x equals 18. I'm going to divide by 3 on both sides. And then I just get x equals 6. So that is the missing component in this point here. So this 6, it goes right here. Okay. So the point here is really, you know, it's really 6, 5. Okay. You found the missing component. All right, let's do it again. We're going to go and we're going to write down our equation. That's our first thing. Well, no, our first thing, let me go ahead. Getting ahead of myself. Let's label everything. Okay. And so we've got 5 things to label. So we got x1, y1, x2, y2, and then my m is already labeled. Okay. I'm going to write my equation. So we got this. We labeled that. Okay, so I'm going to write my equation. I got m equals y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. I'm going to start going to get all that information. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go grab my slope. So we got m is my slope. That's that -2. I'm going to drop that in. So I get -2 equals, I'm going to go start grabbing my points here. So I got y2. Well, that's just a y, okay? Because we don't know what that is. So we're going to do y minus, and then we've got y1, which is 6. Okay, now I'm going to work on my x's. So my x, I have x2, and that's 1, minus my x1 is -4. Okay, so I just carefully plugged each one of these 5 pieces into this equation. That's all I did. I'm going to carry it on up here because I've run out of room. So I've got -2, and I'm going to start simplifying some things. I can't simplify that y minus 6 yet, but I can do 1 minus -4. That's the same thing as 1 plus 4, which is 5. Okay. So this 5 is in the denominator. There's no denominator written on this side, but we can understand that that -2 is really over a 1. Okay, so we don't have to stress about it. It's over a 1. I can put that 1 there. That way we can butterfly when we do our cross multiplication. Okay. So let's go ahead and write that down. So we get -2 times 5 equals 1 times y minus 6. Well, you know, 1 times y, 1 times -1, you know, the 1 kind of drops out, but I just wrote it down there anyway so you could see it. So -2 times 5 is -10. Negative 1 times y is 1y. Negative 1, or I mean, I'm probably, 1 times negative 6 is negative 6. We can add 6 to both sides. So that's going to cancel there. Let's go ahead and, ooh. So negative 10 minus or plus 6 is going to give me negative 4 equals 1y. Well, that 1, I mean, if you went and divided everything by 1, you know, I mean, we could do it. We could show you dividing by 1. It's just going to give us y equals negative 4. And so that's our missing point. Okay, so what we found here, this negative 4, it goes in this spot. Okay, so that point was really 1, negative 4. And we found that missing component using our slope. Alrighty, let's go ahead and go down to the next ones. Okay, so our next part, we are going to just go through and we're going to repeat the process. So I've got x1, y1, x2, y2, and my slope is labeled right here. I can write my equation. It's m equals y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. And if you're one of those that all of a sudden is like, where did that equation come from? It was written right up here. Okay, so I'm just writing this equation over and over and over again. And then we have to label 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 things to plug in. Okay, so we're just going to go through it and we're going to plug this in. That's it. Okay, so my m is 2. My y2 is this 11 minus my y1 is 3. My x2 is 7. My x1, we don't know what it is. It's an x. We're just going to leave it like that. Okay, we do need, we don't have any, well, okay, we can simplify. Hang on. We're just going to, let's simplify. So we get 2 equals 11 minus 3 is going to give me 8. 7 minus x. We can realize that this is really over a 1, which is nice because when we need to go cross multiply, it gives you something to kind of hold its spot so that it has a denominator that we can multiply against. Okay, so we get 2 times 7 minus x equals 1 times 8. So we distribute this. This is 14 minus 2x equals 8. I'm going to subtract 14 from both sides. Okay, let me just carry my work on up here. So 14 minus 14, that drops out. We got negative 2x equals 8 minus 14 is going to give me negative 6. Divide by negative 2. Divide by negative 2. This cancels, and we get x equals 3. So that is the missing part of, so this right here is the missing part of this point right here. So the point, as it turns out, is 3, 3. Pretty cool. Alrighty. Let's do one more where we are labeling everything. Here we've got x1, y1, x2, y2. And this is my slope. So when we set this all up, we got m equals y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. My m is this 1/5. My y2 is this negative 2 minus my y1. We don't know what it is. It's a y. We're just going to drop that in there. Okay. My x2 is 4 minus my x1 is negative 6. So let's go through and simplify this sum. So we've got 1/5 equals negative 2 minus y. Can't simplify that any. 4 minus a negative 6. That's like 4 plus 6. So that's 10. Okay. I can write this over again so I can just make it a little bit bigger and easier to read. Negative 2 minus y divided by 10. All right, so we can cross multiply. So we're going to make our butterfly. We get 1 times 10 equals 5 times negative 2 minus y. 1 times 10 is 10. We distribute this. 5 times negative 2 is negative 10. 5 times negative y is minus 5y. To regroup all these things, we're going to add the 10 to both sides to move it over. So that cancels. We get negative 5y equals 10 plus 10 is 20. So I can write this over again up here. I'm writing all big and kind of getting out of control here. 20 equals negative 5y. I'm going to divide by negative 5 on both sides. And I'm going to end up with y equals negative 4. Okay. So again, this component right here, this negative 4, that's what goes right here. So it turns out this point here was negative 6, negative 4. Alrighty. Let's scroll down a little bit. If I'm going too fast, just pause it. Because, of course, I'm recording it ahead of time with no students. So, I'm probably going a little faster than what you can do on your own. Let's scroll down a little bit. All right. This, I want you to see that we have our m equals 0, and this one is m is undefined. I am going to kind of talk through this a little bit, and let's figure out what's happening with this m equals 0. Okay, so first thing, I want to just go ahead and draw my coordinate plane. So that's what I'm going to do first, is I'm going to do, so this is my coordinate plane. Let me go ahead and put this 0x. So, this is my x and my y, right? So I'm going to draw that point. So let me go grab a different color. So we got 0 and positive 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it's all the way up here. Alrighty. Well, we don't know where this one is. Okay. Now, how can we figure this out? Our slope is 0. That means that we're making a line that looks like this, okay? And this flat pancake line with a slope of 0 has to go through this point. There's only one way for that to work. That's all the way up here. Okay. So then we get the kind of weird situation that okay, so we get this weird situation. Let me see if I can write it out and make sense. Because this is a horizontal line, any x value will work when y equals 8. Okay, so this point here, we actually did not know this. That it didn't tell us. It did not tell us where this is. Okay, it could be any point all over this. It could be a point here. It could be a point here. It's all up there where y equals 8, and there's an infinite number of choices. We could even write this. There are an infinite, oops, I did not spell that well. Let's go ahead and erase that, fix that. Okay, an infinite number of correct x values. Okay, an absolutely infinite number. All righty, let's look at this next one. So this next one, we've got as an undefined line. I'm again going to talk about what it is that we are seeing. So to begin with what it is that we're seeing, I'm going to draw my, oh, I don't want to draw it in black. Let me draw it, or I don't want to draw in blue. I wanted to draw it in black. Okay, so let me make my coordinate plane. We got this here and this here. Okay, I am going to graph this point, this 5, -3. So let me just grab myself a different color. It's going to be positive 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it's going to be negative 1, 2, 3. So my point's going to be right here. It's going to be 5, -3. Okay. Okay, now an undefined slope looks like this. It's an up and down. Okay, there is only one way that this line can go through this point. I mean, you have to just pick that line up and draw it over here and go up and down. Okay, that means every point everywhere on this is going to have a beginning part of 5, and then it's going to have some value there. Okay, all of these points, all of them are going to have a beginning part of 5 because that is my x value for my line like this, for this undefined line. So the cool thing is that this is at, we got to think all the way up here at positive 10. Okay, so this point is what this one would be. And so the answer is going to be 5, 10. Okay. The reason is 5, 10 is all x values with this particular line are 5. Okay, so all of them are 5 in this particular line. Now, in a different undefined line, it would have a different x value. Okay, but this particular one, the only way for it to run through this point here was to go through 5, where x equals 5, and because it's an up and down, they're all 5s. Okay, so I hope that helps, and until next time, my friends, bye.